while the Mariners, you can see they're on 24 points. A win pushes them to 27, which would be 4 points clear of Canberra United, who are leading the chasing pack, trying to snatch a spot in the 6. You would almost say that Canberra and Wellington may be the only realistic chances of breaking into the 6, because Wanderers Glory, the Jets and Sydney are a long way behind at the moment. So this, the 8th meeting between Melbourne Victory and the Central Coast Mariners. 2-2 the head-to-heads with 3 draws. Those 3 draws coming in the last 3 matches. And yes, the Mariners did win that finals clash in a penalty shootout, but it was a draw after extra time, and that's what it goes down in the history books. And that just explains to you how tight this rivalry is. There's one change for the Victory team that drew 1-1 with Wellington last week. Nikki Flannery, who scored the equaliser off the bench, earns a promotion to the starting side. That means Yancheski drops to the bench. Alana Murphy, fresh off her first Matilda squad call-up, has started every match this season. She's back in midfield, while defender Claudia Bunge will also be playing during the international break with New Zealand. And what a week it's been for Alana Murphy, called in to the Matildas squad with Claire Wheeler withdrawing due to injury. Could she make her Matildas debut in the She Believes Cup? What a moment it's been for such the hard-working midfielder who has played every match for Victory this season, almost played every minute for them. One of the unsung heroes for them this season. For the Central Coast Mariners, 2 changes after they were held by Canberra last week. Unfortunately, after being selected in the Croatian squad, Bianca Galic misses after she picked up a knock at training yesterday, while Tiana Fuller drops to the bench. That means Shay Evans and Annalise Rasmussen come into the starting side. Of the defenders, 3 are former Victory players. Victorian product Annabelle Martin made a debut in 2015 at the club. Jess Nash played 34 times over the last 2 seasons, and Sarah Rowe made 3 appearances in 2023. Well, we touched on form sides, these 2. Well, here's one of the form players in the competition, Jade Pennock. She has scored goals in her last 2 matches. She's found that goal-scoring touch 4 for the season. She's the equal leading scorer for the Mariners, the attacker on loan from Birmingham City in the UK, where she's been playing in the Women's Championship for the last few seasons. Jeff Hopkins said that the players spoke about that performance against Wellington and they were very unimpressed with how they performed. Said they were ready for blood on the weekend. They've been fired up at training this week, but he said the Mariners will be a challenge today.
I think from what we see of them, they're a very adaptable side. They can adjust the way that they play within, not just from game to game, but within the game as well. And I think that's one of the things that we've been looking at already this week.
And for Mariners coach Emily Husband, she's looking forward to this clash against Melbourne Victory.
They're always going to be a tough team to come up against, but I think we can come on and beat any team that we want to if we play right and execute ourselves as well as what we can do.
Caitlin Williams in charge of her 35th A-League women's match. She took charge of the match between these 2 back in February, when it was, no surprises, a 1-1 draw. So it's 2 of the competition's form sides, both on a 5-match undefeated run, meeting here at the home of the Matildas. Melbourne Victory looking to consolidate 2nd spot. Or can the Mariners cement their place inside the 6? It's great to have Matilda number 101 alongside for the call, Alicia Ferguson. Ish, 2 very evenly matched sides. Where's the difference this afternoon?
Well, the difference, well, who knows, but this is going to be a great matchup. 2 teams that really want the 3 points. Melbourne Victory clearly really disappointed with that performance against the Knicks last week. And Emily Husband, exactly like Jeff Hopkins said, you never know what you're going to expect with Central Coast Mariners. They really do adapt and change their tactics from week to week depending on who they're playing. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, they are the chameleons of the competition, aren't they? They are that well at adapting. So impressive the way Emily Husband has gone about her work. We saw at Sydney Uni, she was obviously outstanding in the NPL New South Wales. Stepping up, though, to the A-League Women's, well, what a first season. They went within minutes of the grand final, and then this year they are right in the mix again. Here's Shay Evans, promoted to the starting team. Little dink through, none. Pennock! Oh, it could not have started any better for the Mariners. What a way that they worked their way into the box via the two English imports.
Lovely little ball here from Brooke Nunn. We see this partnership with Brooke Nunn and Jade Pennock time and time again. I think Pennock will be disappointed. She was just trying to open up her body, pass that into the far post, but Courtney Newbond was up to the task.
Well, she could have had 3 goals in as many weeks. Jade Pennock. Emily Husband has said, though, she's been really impressed with her work, despite maybe not having the goals in the account that she would have expected at this point in the season. Annabelle Martin, captain for this afternoon, with Taryn King obviously out injured, but so too Bianca Galich now. A vastly experienced player who debuted with Victory back in 2015.
Yeah, talk about how the difference, and even starting to do my prep for this game and looking at how Central Coast Mariners play from game to game and changing it up. You can just see Jade Pennock just sitting a little bit deeper in that kind of Bianca Galich position, with Shay Evans a bit further forward, really being that nice link-up play to go forward and switch the ball out.
A little bit of a stumble from Taylor Ray, but she ensured that Dapolonia wasn't able to create a chance on goal. Langman, what a ball that was, over the top for Martin. Is running into some good space here in midfield. Gets a little bit tight though there for Nunn. Just squeezed in. Gilnick. Started this season on fire, M. Gilnick. 6 goals in her first 3, but just 1 in the 9 since.
And playing in that little bit more of a wider role. Rachel Lowe through the middle, Alex Chidiak just in that number 10 role. This is where I've been really impressed with the Mariners. You can see how many players they've got. They really try and lock in the opposition on the one side. They let them pass out to the wide area and then just all go in numbers to lock them in and not allow them to switch out play.
And Murphy's pass almost inviting some serious pressure there on Bunge. And Lowe, that is a tough collision with Nash, who did make the switch from Melbourne Victory, where she played the last 2 seasons, to the Central Coast. A little bit closer to home for Jess Nash, who's a Doonside junior out of Sydney. And Nash using a body well there. Rachel Lowe just couldn't resist. Little tug of the shirt.
Jeff Hopkins yelling out to his Victory players, keep it wide, lock them in. Both teams really trying to isolate the ball when it gets into the wide areas.
Dapolonia taking on Taylor Ray. That's going to be a little battle to watch unfold. 2 really industrious players. And that's the fascinating thing, Ish, today. We've got the battle on the field, but also off it as well. These 2 coaches, really master tacticians, and you can understand why these matches are always so tight between Victory and the Mariners since the Mariners have returned to the competition.
Yeah, Jeff Hopkins, he was my old Brisbane Roar coach, extremely experienced, knows the players, knows the league so well, has seen it all as well in his coaching career. And I mean, the adaptability of Melbourne Victory, again, of both of these teams, and Emily Husband coming in, you can just see the unity, the cohesiveness with this Central Coast Mariners team. And exactly like Jeff said, it's difficult to have a team that allows you to be that adaptable tactically. You need the personnel, you also need the understanding, and you need everyone to be on the same page. And I think both these teams do seem like very cohesive units. See how compact both of them are. Lots of numbers around the ball. They want to stay nice and close to each other, get those nice little 1-2s in.
Nash stepping forward. Angling this pass out to Evans. Just her 6th start of the season, Shay Evans, out of 13 appearances. So you look at defensively, Mariners best in the competition, 14 goals conceded in 15. Anytime you're under a goal a game conceded, that is a pretty imperious record. And Victory, they're not far off that. They're 16 conceded in 15 matches, 3rd best in the league. So you're probably expecting a tight one here today, but you never know. Sometimes it pans out quite the opposite. Victory, from an attacking perspective, 5th most goals, Mariners 6th.
Well, I think that's just building on exactly what Emily Husband had began, a really strong defensive structure. And once you get that, once you have the understanding, then that allows you to then tinker with what you're going to do in the attacking side of things. I think last week against Canberra United, I noticed very quickly when they turned over possession, they went straight back into a 4-4-2. And they were so disciplined in that as soon as they lost the ball, then they knew their jobs, they knew their responsibilities if they couldn't win the ball back. And I think, you know, that's now down to what Jeff and the Melbourne Victory team have to try and unlock that.
There he is, Jeff Hopkins, 4 A-League Women's Championships in his back pocket. As you mentioned, each couple of those with Brisbane, a couple with Victory. As Evans tries her luck from distance, but never going to challenge Courtney Newbon.
Yeah, Jeff, wonderful, absolute legend of the women's game here in Australia. Former Premier League player. used to tell me he used to have quite a temper on him as a player. I think he definitely in his coaching days has calmed down a little bit. But, you know, what he does do, and I think him and Emily Husband do something very similar, is they really give that responsibility and that autonomy to the players to drive their own race. They had that meeting after the Wellington Phoenix game where the players could speak openly to each other. And that really is crucial, that honesty, that transparency of...
Here's a bit of space for Flannery around the outside. Early delivery. It was well floated. Now D'Apollonia chiming in late. Spills out for Pickett, who feeds D'Apollonia towards that back post. Another dangerous ball, but Lowe was just hanging back a little. Gilnick was at the near post, and another chance in a matter of seconds goes begging for Victory.
Nice positive play by Nikki Flannery. Didn't start last week, came on, made the difference for Melbourne Victory. Earned her starting spot this week. Want to see her time and time again really taking on players nice and positive, using her pace down that left-hand side.
There was a little bit of talk last week whether Flannery may stay on the bench because of the impact she had off it last week against Wellington, but the counter-argument is that maybe Victory were a little sleepy off the start because they didn't have that energy of Flannery, and you can see what she brings from the outset there. This is Murphy knocking it through. Gilnick, one-on-one. Emily Gilnick, she doesn't miss those kind of opportunities. And in a big game, the players like Emily Gilnick regularly stand up. She's got her 8th of the season. She is well and truly in the Golden Boot race, and Melbourne Victory are in front here against the Mariners.
Lovely play, Alana Murphy, nice and composed there. Saw that Emily Gilnick was on the shoulder, onside, maybe a slight little deflection there. One-on-one with the keeper. Really cool, calm finish from Emily Gilnick.
So she joins Carly Johnson at the top of the Golden Boot race. They've got 8 apiece, those two. And Gilnick, as I mentioned, has been a little quiet on the goal-scoring front of late. Well, she's bounced back on a crucial afternoon here in Melbourne.
I think the main point of that goal, Ben, was the fact that she was in a central position, so there'd been a bit of break-up in play in central midfield. See her making a run again on the shoulder. Has that freedom and that license to roam forward if she sees those opportunities. She's got great pace, loves to get one-on-one with the keeper.
And Gilnick just knocks it around the outside of Martin. She's looking in a mood this afternoon, Gilnick. And earns a corner for her side. She has the fire in the belly. She has got that Asian Cup looking ahead next season in her sights. She wants to get herself back in the Matilda side for that tournament on home turf. And she keeps scoring goals. She'll keep putting herself up in lights. Delivery decent from Chidiac, and it's just going to be the goal kick.
Lovely ball. Alana Murphy took a couple of touches, played that ball straight down the middle. And Gilnick reading it so well, stayed on side. It was quite a straight angle as well, one-on-one with the keeper, but she stayed nice and calm, just slotted it home.
And that's what you want from your star players. In those kind of moments early on, really can set you up, can't it? A nice finish like that. And you think about the chance the Mariners had. Pennock's chance inside the opening minute, wasn't it? Didn't convert, and now they're down 1-0.
That's right, it's fine margins. And I feel like this game is going to be one of fine margins. Maybe little mistakes. I think you can see both teams staying nice and compact. You know, I do see that change of pace when they transition from out of possession to in possession. They both like to counter-attack quite quickly. Now, where Victory were pushed on a little bit, they're just sitting back. They've got that 1-goal lead. No need for them to continue going chasing. You know, I think it's always good to consolidate after you score for a few minutes, just stay nice and compact.
Nicky, when the ball's on this side, come across. Second six.
Okay, well, we got that straight from the horse's mouth. I love that. We saw Jeff Hopkins walk over. I'm thinking, what's he going to say here? So you heard that. He wants Nikki Flannery, and the ball is on the opposite side of the pitch. Her to move further across. Asian plays a second 6.
That's right next to Alana Murphy, who's playing in that number 6 role. So then that just joins into play. So they've got more players around the ball if they do want to switch the ball out the other side quickly. Again, it's all about that compactness, staying in close proximity to your other teammates rather than making the field so big that you've got so much distance to cover by playing the ball.
And if you are a bit confused, I know football aficionados will know exactly what a number 6 is, but that's effectively, if you don't know, a holding midfielder, so a defensive midfielder. So is that a change because they're now in front? He's thinking just to shore things up a little bit, or is that a decision he would have made regardless?
Yeah, I think that's probably definitely based on going 1-0 ahead, just making sure. And Nikki obviously is an attacking player, so Nikki's first thought is I want to go forward, I want to stay wide, I want to stay nice and high. So probably, again, just back to that, staying nice and compact and consolidating on the 1-0 lead.
So Gilnick just tried to knock it around the corner for Pickett. Now Martin linking with Ray. Victory really trying to hem the Mariners in here. Mariners want to get the ball to the other side of the field. Pennock is just squeezed in there. That's brilliant work by Chidiac. And then Gilnick, who attempts an audacious strike from distance. But that's really good pressure from Melbourne Victory.
Yep, they're pressing in numbers, they're pressing high. Jade Pennock losing the ball in midfield there. And Gilnick just saw Lakeman maybe a little bit off her line, tried that little audacious chip in. But Jeff Hopkins as well, still yelling for Nikki Flannery, drop in, drop a little bit further back. Particularly, keeping the ball, the opposition playing in front of you is the ideal shape for when a defensive shape, rather than them breaking through the lines and you've got to turn and you're chasing back towards goal. So that's really why he's encouraging Nikki to tuck in a little bit further.
Well, Jeff Hopkins foreshadowed this kind of start from Melbourne Victory. If you watched his press conference, he was saying how pumped the players were all week at training after they had their honesty session about how disappointed they were with that performance against Wellington. They were just desperate to come out and atone today. He said, or they were just looking for blood, basically, this weekend. And they have come out with a real attitude here. Gilnick finding Chidiac. And of course, they remember going out to the Mariners in the finals last year via the penalty shootout. It's such an awful way to lose.
Yeah, there's nothing like...
And is this going to be a free kick? Flannery is absolutely furious. She hasn't got the whistle.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely a foul there. Definitely impediment there. Nice little, again, Alex Chidiac trying to break through. Well, it could have been a foul there, I think. And then another one on Nikki Flannery a bit further on.
Here come Victory again with the pressure. They're going to win themselves a throw here. Mariners just cannot get out of their own half at the moment.
Yeah, Victory are doing really well. I mean, obviously that goal always helps the momentum shift as well. But clearly they have seen how the Mariners potentially set up. But like Jeff was saying, I've been there. There's nothing like playing a rubbish game and thinking that you haven't done your best to ignite a spark in you, to up the intensity, up your application, up your effort. And I think he even said the intensity at training, you know, went up exponentially after that session. It's great for the players to be honest, tell each other how they're feeling, what didn't work, and how they're going to make up for it this week. And they've definitely come out here with a real purpose.
And how often do you see it? Sometimes when you come off one of those poor performances, and to be fair, they didn't lose. So
Yeah,
that's even more impressive. But they come off that disappointing performance. They seem to really take that as such a learning experience. And how often do you see it? When you learn something, how it can just impact you so positively the next performance because you want to go out and then execute.
Yeah, and exactly like you said, Ben, it's not necessarily always about the score. It is about the performance.
Gilnick's touches pounced upon by Nunn. So fleet-footed. Looks to release Pennock. That's Rasmussen in the middle. So the Mariners now with a little opportunity. Evans looking for an option. Calmly finds Rowe. That's well cut out by Morrison. This little battle here, Rowe and Flannery, is another one I'm fascinated by. Physicality of Rowe versus the speed of Flannery. We're already seeing a little bit of frustration from Flannery, so that's going to be two players with contrasting styles going head to head.
And even just the propensity to go forward from Sarah Rowe on the right-hand side, Annabelle Martin on this left-hand side. You can see Taylor Ray and Quilligan in the middle. They really they sweep in front of the two centre-backs there and allow those wide players to push on as far as possible.
Nunn was just in behind, but the ball just clipped her calf and stopped any chance of her being able to get further in behind. Pickett had it taken off her by Rasmussen. And the clearance only as far as Ray. Appeals for handball against Quilligan, but it really ricocheted in there. And Pennock's strike is deflected. And that's well done by Newman to ensure that it wasn't a corner.
Audacious attempt by Jade Pennock. Probably a little bit of frustration there.
And Flannery trying to sneak away in behind. Her old teammate Jess Nash, though, awake to any kind of danger. Old teammates Flannery and Nash, not at Victory, but in a past life at Canberra United. So those two will know each other very well from years gone by.
And Nikki Flannery, I believe, just made the Canberra United All-Star 11 as voted by the fans. Had some wonderful seasons there.
Yeah, name synonymous with Canberra, so did have that year with Newcastle, and then this is her only other season away from the nation's capital. always a player that brings a smile to the face, just by her attitude on the pitch, but also the way that she can impact the match. And we saw that last week, scoring that equaliser straight off the bench. I think it was her first touch, scoring that equaliser straight onto the field and scoring. What an impact.
That's right. I know there was question marks over whether maybe more suited to being that impact player, but as a player, you don't want to be the impact player. If you've had and you've made an impact the week before, then you're like to the coach, Jeff, start me. I want to make an impact from the first whistle. And I think definitely this, as you say, this nice little battle in those wide areas, a bit of pace, a bit of physicality between Rowe, between Flannery, adding a different dimension to the victory attack.
None. You feel like she's going to have a big part to play if the Mariners can claw their way back into this one. Quilligan and Bunge, who I mentioned before, she is going to be playing for the Football Ferns in that international break. They're taking on Costa Rica in a couple of matches. Those two matches being played in Costa Rica. Brooke Nunn with a couple of goals this season, but 3 assists for the Mariners. Pennock. And it's Flannery who came back, along with Rosie Curtis, really putting the pressure on the English import. Murphy, it was her pass that sent Gilnick on her way to score the opening goal. So what a big confidence boost for the player called up to her first Matildas squad, part of that She Believes Cup campaign, replacing Claire Wheeler. So a like-for-like replacement called in by Tom Samani.
Yeah, wonderful opportunity for Alana to potentially make her debut in what is going to be a very tough tournament for the Matildas. Got Japan first up, Colombia and USA, 3 powerhouses in football.
And the growth in the South American sides has been there for all to see, especially over the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, I think the quality has always been there. I think just the availability of representing their country at tournaments is the biggest difference. And now we're seeing all these countries. It's not like the talent pool hasn't been there, but now a lot of the players getting scouted, going into better leagues across Europe, into the NWSL as well, and having that international tournament experience at the Under-17 World Cup, at the Under-20 World Cup. I mean, the depth in women's football, I think in the last 5 years particularly, has been a huge amount of growth.
Martin going up the line, linking with Nunn. Great first touch, and does win a free kick. Little bit of a scrap. Laura Pickett making a real nuisance of herself.
Yeah, Brooke Nunn wasn't happy there. Using her pace, nice little cut back in. Yeah, held up Laura Pickett, understanding. Not happy, Brooke Nunn. A bit frustrated with the personal attention that Laura Pickett was giving her.
No doubt that's the job that Jeff Hopkins will be wanting her to do, frustrate Brooke Nunn. Knows of her quality. Couple of WSL titles with Arsenal back in 2011 and 2012. She's been playing in the Women's Championship and also in Turkey and Scotland in recent seasons. So Martin and Ray standing over this set piece, and it's Ray with the in-swinger. Just gave it a little bit too much.
Yeah, Taylor Ray probably just trying to whip that ball towards the far post. Maybe a little bit too much height on it. Bit of wind around as well, which doesn't help. Tough to get the flight of the ball when it's that high.
Now this is a poor turnover. Turned over to Brooke Nunn, who links with Pennock, just couldn't get the pass out to Annabelle Martin, who was getting forward down the left wing.
Good defending by Laura Pickett there. Actually committed to it, stepped forward, intercepted the ball.
Delightful pass out to Gilnick. Rachel Lowe in a good area in the middle. Gilnick goes herself and just misses out on that near post angle.
Lovely ball from Kayla Morrison. There's been a few. I mean, this is typical M. Gilnick, particularly when she's on that left-hand side. Jinx, comes back in on her right foot, her preferred foot, to try and get the shot on target. But Melbourne Victory definitely are looking. Central Coast always trying to press up, keep things nice and compact, and they have been. Alana Murphy, that ball for Emily Gilnick's goal. Lovely ball from Kayla Morrison then. So clearly they're aware that there is space in behind this Mariners defensive line.
Nash being pressured by Lowe and Seaman. Nunn turning on the speed yet again. Toe in from Flannery, who's switched across from the left to the right. Martin's pass was well angled. Shay Evans goes down in the penalty area. There was some serious attention there. Wasn't enough for a penalty, though. Caitlin Williams saying no.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having... Yeah. I mean, my first instinct was there was definitely Shay Evans was in front. There's contact there. I mean, that's a penalty for me. I mean, she did impede her. Shay Evans could have got on the ball. There was contact before the ball got to them.
Well, this season, referees have somewhat put their whistle away when it's come to contentious calls like that. They've been more willing to err on the side of letting play go. Gilnick hooks it back too far for Flannery. We saw last week that Sydney FC clash against Western United. There was a clear pen laid on in that one that would have given Sydney a chance to equalise, and that was waved away. As the flag goes up against Rasmussen.
I mean, there could have potentially been an argument that the ball, whether Shay Evans could have gotten to the ball or not. I mean, there was definitely contact. The contact was from behind. There was an arm over the shoulder of Shay Evans. You know, all those things to me make it a little bit of a dicey decision for the defender when they're making contact, when they're behind the player inside the 18-yard box.
It was a lovely ball by Martin, and Evans got herself in a great position in front. And that's the question, isn't it? The player in that situation is in a great position, deserves to be rewarded. And well, it wasn't the case there by the referee, saying that it wasn't a penalty. So the Mariners are going to have to try and find another avenue in the lead up to half time. Now you can see a little bit of mud on the pitch here. There's been quite a fair bit of rain since Friday here in Melbourne, 15 mils overnight. So it is a little bit heavy underfoot here at the home of the Matildas.
Yeah, you can definitely see the ball does hold up in certain areas of the pitch. Plenty of sand going on in that goal mouth area. Down along this touchline side where the dugouts are, where the teams had been warming up earlier on, you can see a lot of the marks from the football boots.
Turnover again in a dangerous area. Again, it's Nunn. She decides to shoot from distance, though, and straight into the back of Alana Murphy.
Had a couple of those Central Coast Mariners, those shots from distance. To me, that just says that there's a little bit of frustration that creeps in. They know that defensively, Melbourne Victory are nice and compact. It's difficult. The ball's in front of the Victory defensive unit, and they're finding it difficult to get out and around them or find those passes through the back three, back four of the Victory.
So just landing in an awkward area there for Langman. Has to lump it over the sideline. Talking about defensive units and these two being in the top three, both in terms of defence this season, both goalkeepers. Got outstanding records. Newbon and Sarah Langman. Newbon was actually at the Mariners last year, where she was a temporary replacement player, and then made the move to Victory after that expired after an outstanding spell, as Sarah Rowe is just going to get a talking to here from Caitlin Williams.
That was a heavy challenge, wasn't it? Flying in there on the wrong side. Rosie Curtis upended.
You're surprised there's no yellow card there?
Yeah,
or do you
but
think it
maybe
was a bit awkward?
No, I mean, it could have been a yellow card, I think, but by what we were talking about before with the penalty decision, you know, I don't mind the conservative approach to not brandishing cards. I don't think there was any intent in it. It was mistimed. So, you know, could have gone either way.
Yeah, it's the John Moss edict, the new head coach of referees at Football Australia. And that's the thing, we probably prefer erring on the side of letting play go, but it is a fine balancing act as the free kick is swung in, and it did get to Em Gilnick, and she just didn't get the purchase on the header to challenge Langman.
And was trying to get her body in there, try and hold off the defender. It was a good ball into a dangerous area. Just didn't quite get enough contact on it. But to your point before there, Ben, about John Moss and the referees, of course, and referees know this, they don't want to be the star of the match. That's not what they want to be. They want to let the game flow.
Nunn pulling out the back heel. Rasmussen couldn't link with a teammate. You just wonder that change, an interesting one. Tiana Fuller, who scored 4 goals this season, equal leading goal scorer for the Mariners, the 16-year-old, dropped to the bench today. Rasmussen comes in. You wonder whether it's just a case of Em Husband wanting to rotate through those young players, or whether it could have been the fact that Rasmussen did score against Victory back in Unite round. Sometimes coaches feel that players coming up against a team they've done well against previously.
Rasmussen just offers something different as well, doesn't she? That physicality, that height. You've got Kayla Morrison at the back there, an extremely experienced defender, good physicality, reads the game very well.
Oh, and that's a nasty one. May have even copped the knee there, as totally accidental from Shay Evans. Bunge just taking a couple of moments to set herself again.
It was a great ball into the box there. Got in front of Seaman, just couldn't quite get enough on it. Kind of skimmed off her head onto her shoulder, all the way through to Langman.
And that decision, coaching decision, Rasmussen coming in, really just underlines, doesn't it, the adaptability, and we spoke about this from the start. The fact that the Mariners, every match, new opportunity, just to work out what kind of style they're going to play depending on the opponent they're up against. And that's such a credit to them. They're able to do that, be so flexible. Low, looking for Gilnick. And, well, she's given away the free kick. Bit of a shoulder in the back there of Martin and a smile on the face of Gilnick. Don't know if Martin appreciated it as much.
Yeah, a nice little nudge in the back there by Emma Gilnick. A good battle. We see Emma Gilnick, Nikki Flannery constantly switching wings just to try and change things up, keep the Central Coast Mariners thinking. I think if anything, the Mariners probably need to work on getting a little bit more width. Everything's a little bit narrow at the moment. I mean, that's also to Victory's credit, really locking him in one way and not allowing him to switch the play out quickly to the other side.
We can see Em Husband just look at the left arm. She's basically saying, play Martin, she's free. And Seaman just didn't spot it. And Mariners will win the ball back here in midfield through Quilligan.
Yeah, Em Husband just previously was urging her players to actually look down the line and play down the line. You see a lot of the players coming through the middle.
That is a poor turnover from Quilligan, straight to Flannery, who has so much space to roam in. Looking to link with Lowe, and then Seaman's clearance came off Nash. May have even hit the hand, and it just spun it perfectly away from the byline and prevented a corner. Mariners get it to safety momentarily. Yeah, I think it came up off the hand of Nash, and that actually caused the ball to spin so awkwardly that it ensured the Mariners didn't concede a corner. Just maybe a side that needs a bit of half-time instruction, the Mariners, just to try and work out how they're going to try and fight back in this one. Because as you said, Each, they have struggled to make any kind of imprint on victory, probably since that Pennock chance early on and the penalty shout, you would say.
Yeah, absolutely. They started strong, had that opportunity. I think it's a credit to victory, though. I think they've done their homework. They've come back after a disappointing performance. They're defending well as a unit. They're really 2 players on the ball, 3 players on the ball, getting lots of players around the ball, putting pressure on Central Coast and forcing them into errors and turnovers of possession.
So this will be a free kick for the Mariners. Just inside their own half. So she wants Tess Quilligan to play forward a lot more. That's the message from Em Husband. Isn't it great, the access? We've got the microphones perfectly positioned there. We've heard some great insights from both coaches. So she wants a more positive approach. Maybe if you're ahead 1-0, doesn't matter as much. But in this situation, the Mariners need to find themselves a goal.
I think as a player, if you're not feeling like, I definitely think victory that have the momentum at the moment.
I want to know what that says.
Yeah, that's it. Who's he writing to? Who are you writing to, Jeff? What are you writing down? And then you go into very conservative mode. So you play the ball sideways, you play the ball backwards. And so Emily Husband encouraging Quilligan, you must keep looking forward, always looking forward, is exactly what they need to do. It's far too easy for Melbourne Victory. They're nice and compact. They're nice and organised to keep the ball playing in front. Need to break through those lines and by playing the ball forward.
Ray and Rasmussen. None back to Seaman. Injury replacement Jess Seaman for Ash Irwin. Signed in January. Did play with the Mariners way back in 2009. Martin, Pennock. This is a little sharper ball movement from the Mariners, but then it breaks down. And this is the kind of work that Alana Murphy has achieved all season. And how often do we see it? The defensive midfielders, they very much fly under the radar. And that's the kind of moments there that, you know, she puts in her highlights reel week in, week out.
That's it. It's crucial. Just reading the play, being that sweeper in front of your back line of defence, trying to get those intercepts, trying to affect the play.
Now, this is a concern for Quilligan. She's taken the boot off. Now, if there's any kind of inflammation on the foot, let's hope it literally just came undone, because if there is a bit of inflammation, might struggle to get it back on.
Yeah, she seems to be moving pretty freely. Maybe the boot just came off, got stood on. One of those
the
things.
old schoolyard trick.
Yeah,
that your mates at school come and stand on the back of your heel and force the boot off.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolute stitch up. Yeah, I think Jeff will be quite happy with how the Victory have applied themselves in this first half. See him urging. It's all about, like, when that ball's on the other side, everyone's staying nice and compact. You kind of see it. It's almost like both teams are within one half side of the field, really trying to lock the opposition towards the sideline.
So inside the final 5 minutes of regulation time before half-time. So Melbourne Victory at the moment on the live ladder, up into second. And that's a needless free kick, really. And that kind of position, Rasmussen didn't need to give that away.
Well, she had her arm held as well. It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
Could have gone either way. Could have gone her way initially.
She's making a real nuisance of herself, isn't she, Laura Pickett? So she just got under the skin of Brooke Nunn a few moments ago, and that time Rasmussen. So a little bit of frustration just building here for the Mariners. Look at this, Murphy has 4 Mariners converging on her, and they win the ball. Can they move it quickly here? Rasmussen squaring it to Pennock. Looking for the opening, Jade Pennock. Great footwork. Tough angle, though, for her now. Martin swings it across. Evans is up. Newbond came and couldn't get the punch. And it will be a corner. So the best moment for the Mariners probably since the opening couple of minutes.
Better play from the Mariners. Started from Brooke Nunn. Those 4 plays around Alana Murphy. Won the ball back. Brooke Nunn played that ball down into the pocket, came across to Jade Pennock. Much better when they're trying to thread those passes through the Melbourne Victory defence. Courtney Newborn really didn't read that very well at all. Got a slight touch on it.
It was like bees to the honeypot, wasn't it? Those 4 Mariners just swarming Alana Murphy, and ensures there's a corner here. And it's a good delivery, this. There's players going down everywhere in the box. And then the strike from Quilligan. And it's over the crossbar, but I'd love to put the microscope on what happened inside the box. Caitlin Williams would have needed to have eyes everywhere.
Well, looks like her arms are on her back. I think she's been very, very lucky there, Caitlin Williams.
Well, it looked to be Seaman, and then also there was Rasmussen at the back post, and both looked to be getting a fair shove.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as soon as you get those arms up in front of you and you can see your elbows are bent and you've got them towards the back of the opposition player, you know you're in a little bit of trouble. I think Melbourne Victory were probably lucky to get away with that one. See that, yes.
There's a push there, and then Gilnick just off screen. There looked to be a fair bit in that as well at the back post. Oh, here we go, and at the other end, Melbourne Victory are getting a penalty of their own. Right in the corner of the 18-yard box. It was almost outside. Fortune not favouring the Mariners in this first half. Look how tight this is on the inside of the 18-yard box. Seaman sticks out the boot. It's a clear penalty. There's no doubt about that. And, you've got to feel for Em Husband and the Mariners.
I really do feel for them. I definitely think they could have had a couple of penalties in this game. I think they'll feel really hard done by going into this half if they're 2-0 down. I mean, that was a dead set penalty. Seaman, a rash challenge.
And you can hear the Mariners bench are absolutely furious. But Em Gilnick looking to go clear in the Golden Boot race. And blazes over Em Gilnick. And maybe Mariners fans at least would say justice is done.
I think they would definitely feel that justice was done. Em just planted her foot, took her eye off the ball, leaned back. She'll be having nightmares about that one. Golden opportunity to put them 2-0 up just before half-time. But Emily Husband and Central Coast Mariners, I think, will be so frustrated with a couple of those indecisive moments.
Well, can Melbourne Victory potentially atone straight away? Martin, the endeavour was good, but D'Apollonia wins out. Gilnick driving it across, low, great touch. Chidiac, the deflection. Oh, wow, that could have nestled in the top corner. So the Mariners, they're getting a bit of luck coming their way right now before half-time.
What a beautiful ball into the box by Emily Gilnick. I love that. On the deck, nice and firm to the near post. Rachel did well, getting across her defender. Tried to hit it into Chids just in behind her, and that deflection seeing it out from a corner. Another big sigh of relief for the Mariners.
Oh, Jess Nash had no idea where that one was going. And here comes the corner for Murphy. It is really dangerous. Rasmussen, I believe, got it away initially, and then the deflection. has found its way past Langman, and Melbourne Victory do get a big slice of fortune right on the stroke of half-time. It was impossible to deal with, and Melbourne Victory out by 2 in stoppage time.
Busy at the far post. Good delivery in here. Alex Chidiac just helped it back in. M. Gilnick looked like by the celebration, hard to see on the replay, but got a little touch on that as well. All the players over to celebrate with M. Gilnick. Well, she's made up for it there after missing that penalty. But Chidiac did well, just helped it back into a dangerous area. There's so many bodies.
So it's been given to Chidiac at the moment, but we're going to need the microscope on it, because it could be a decisive goal in terms of Gilnick as well, because she would go clear in the Golden Boot race by a goal. So we'll have to have a look at that over half-time and see whether it was a Gilnick goal, a Chidiac goal, potentially an own goal. Looked to be a Mariners leg involved as well. And just as we were saying, the Mariners were getting a bit of fortune. It all evaporated in that moment.
Yeah.
Maybe a chance here. None. Rasmussen off the crossbar. And now Pennock on the turn. Has a strike at goal, and Bunge clears it away. Gee, they're not out of this by any stretch, the Mariners. We know how dangerous a 2-goal scoreline is in football. Throwing everything at Melbourne Victory right before half-time. Shay Evans, Nunn's touch. Back towards Evans, just lost her footing in the box. And that is half-time at the home of the Matildas. Melbourne Victory with a 2-goal lead. Emily Gilnick scored the opener. She then put a penalty over the bar, and then Victory making it 2-0 right on the stroke of half-time via a heavily deflected goal. And the Central Coast Mariners had at least 2 penalty shouts turned down by Caitlin Williams. Half-time, it's Melbourne Victory 2, Central Coast Mariners 0. And let's take a look back at the first half highlights, and 2-0 probably doesn't do justice to the Central Coast Mariners, Ish.
Well, there was plenty going on early, weren't there? Jade Pennock with a wonderful opportunity to put Central Coast up early in that first half. Just couldn't open her body. Lovely little dinked ball here from Brooke Nunn. Those two have a wonderful partnership and understanding. CJ just trying to open her body up, potentially play it or disguise it from the goalkeeper. But this was a wonderful ball. Alana Murphy, wonderful vision. Emily Gilnick using her pace. Had a little look up at the goalkeeper, just slotted that home.
And this is a great ball, isn't it, from Alana Murphy, just doing what she's done so well. Selected in that Matildas squad, comes out today. Sometimes it can put a bit of extra pressure on players. Certainly not the case for her. And then this is the penalty. Seaman on low.
Yeah, she definitely knew she'd done wrong. M. Gilnick head in hands after this one, just leaning back, up and over. See, she was trying to drive it straight down the middle. Didn't take long for him to get the second one on the scoreboard.
And Gilnick, yeah, it's certainly got to be Gilnick's goal, you would think, provided that shot's on target, which I think it is. This is a double for Gilnick. I think
Yeah, you can see that slight deflection of Gilnick, maybe off her thigh when Alex Chidiac just helped it back in. This final opportunity, Rasmussen, great work by Brooke Nunn down that right-hand side. Would have been nice for Mariners to get something before the half-time whistle.
So Emily Gilnick will say that's her first half double, so that takes it a 9 for the season and leading the Golden Boot race. Very even though, Ish.
Yeah, there hasn't been too much in it, has there? A couple of potential frustrating decisions not going Central Coast Mariners' way, but we've got a lot to do in the second half. Had a couple of opportunities, but really, Melbourne Victory doing well to be 2-0 up at half-time.
Half-time at the home of the Matildas. It's Melbourne Victory leading the Mariners 2-0. So here at the home of the Matildas, it is Melbourne Victory leading the Central Coast Mariners 2-0. And at 8 p.m. tonight, Wellington Phoenix, they face a tricky test in the distance derby against Perth Glory. The Knicks have picked up just 1 point from their last 3 matches and need a win to mount a late charge towards the top 6. Here's Narlene Mastow and Grace Gill with their preview of the match at the Sam Kerr Football Centre.
And the final game to wrap up round 16 of the Ninja A-League takes us to Perth as Glory will be hosting Wellington Phoenix. Grace, Perth have kind of made it a habit to concede first. Not ideal for them. How do they kind of put a stop to that?
Well, back at home, it's a distance derby, Wellington going over, but really it's an inexperienced side. You take out the likes of Casey Dumont and Nat Tatham, and the squad hasn't played that many A-League games. So I think we look at the complexion of a young, inexperienced team. They're going to have to find a way to clamp that down, whether it's defensively, setting up with a bit more of a defensive formation, blocking in those lines, not allowing Wellington to stream through the middle of the park. But back at home, they'll be wanting to get a good result.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge boost for them. And we did see Caitlin Douglas make her return a couple weeks ago. She provided a bit of a boost, but where else can the goals come from in this Perth Glory side?
Well, unfortunately for Perth, Caitlin Douglas only has 1 or 2 games left with the side. Gabby Holler out, as is Georgia Cassidy. So their attacking ranks are really low on stocks. I think we need to see a little bit more from Welsh international Megan Wynne. She's a really hard-working player, does a lot down the right-hand side in the way of attacking, but not much end product just yet. And even not just goal scoring, but I'm talking assists. I'm talking getting involved in actually the finished product for Perth Glory.
Wellington will also look to get back to winning ways, and we kind of heard Paul Temple last week discuss how it was a little bit frustrating to see his side dominate possession, passing and opportunities, but not have that translated on the score sheet. And so how can they try and sustain that dominance?
Yeah, well, I think for Wellington, when they are at their very best, when they're playing their very best football, they're one of the best footballing sides in the competition, but it's just that final bit of quality. And I think similar to Perth, they're actually a fairly inexperienced team. So not many of the players have played A-League for long, or this might be their first year in A-League. So I think there's a big step up there, and there's a little bit of maybe pressure in the final third, capitalising, but they need to take a breath, take a moment, that final third, find the quality pass, find the quality shot on goal. I think if Wellington can tie that all together, they'll be fine going into this one.
Well, let's see how they fare against Perth Glory. 3 points is up for grabs. Be sure to watch this one live on Paramount Plus or 10 Play.
That one at 8 p.m. tonight. Now it's time for another instalment of Ninja Express. Let's hear from some of Perth Glory stars about their favourite goals in the A-League.
My favourite A-League goal, I think, would have to be Dougie's goal in the last game. I think it was just set up perfectly. It's her 50th game.
Sinaga's ball towards the back post. Holler will get there. Gabby Holler playing it back to Douglas. You don't get a better return to the competition than that.
She's the person that deserved it. So it was just bittersweet.
My favourite A-League goal, I would say, is Dolt's from last season. Outside the box, banged it top left corner, and it was just like a good moment.
That is a brilliant strike in the dying moments of this game as Perth Glory equalise and celebrate.
And it was just like a good moment for everyone.
My favourite A-League goal would probably be Ben Garuccio, the scorpion kick. I think it was just spur of the moment and like just unbelievable.
Oh my word! That is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio. A scorpion kick that's going to be replayed for weeks and weeks.
My favourite A-League goal would be probably mine, just quietly. It was, I think, the first minute of our second game against Jets at HBF as well, so it was pretty cool. I didn't know how to celebrate though.
That ball's given away cheaply, and then the first shot on goal into the back of the net. First goal for Georgia Cassidy of the new season.
My favourite A-League goal is a goal scored by Sam Kerr when she was playing for Sydney and they were playing against Melbourne Victory. And the score was 1-1 and she scored a diving header.
Sam Kerr with a header, a brilliant header, slams it in, Sydney 2-1, what a piece of play, oh, the double backward, mind you, but she powered it in for her 9th goal of the year.
Melbourne Victory celebrated their 20th anniversary in the A-League's competition on Friday night. In the Isuzu Ute A-League, Victory marked the occasion with a 1-0 win against Wellington. On Total A-Leagues this week, Vince Rigari and Tommy Orr highlighted their all-time top 4 Victory players.
Who is on your Melbourne Victory Mount Rushmore?
Oof. I think Archie and Kevin Muscat are the first two certainties, you'd have to say.
I'd agree with that.
Probably say Lee Broxham, just for the longevity. He's just, part and parcel of the club, and Berisha.
It's a toss-up between him or Carlos Hernandez, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, true.
For that last spot. But I also just want to give a mention to Fred, the Brazilian midfielder who in the early days in the A-League, when the A-League was huge, Fred was a name. You could say Fred, and people would be like, I know exactly who you're talking about, and we're not talking about a DJ. You know what I mean? He was a big deal.
Welcome back to the home of the Matildas. Second half underway here between Melbourne Victory and the Central Coast Mariners. And it's still going down as Chidiak's goal. I'm not sure how long it'll last, because Emily Gilnick will certainly be claiming that she's got a double and is leading the Golden Boot race. So we'll hold fire on that for the moment. The Mariners, though, what a chance that is. First attack again of the half, just as it was in the first half, and a big opportunity to get themselves back within a goal.
Just have a touch there, Brooke Nunn. Have a touch, take the touch forward, and then you can either cut it back. Nice little tap in there. I think that was poor decision making. And actually, I think that's probably been the story of the Mariners for this half. It was a little think at half time what type of things Emily Husband would be saying to her team, but similar to what she said in the pre-match interview. If they do the things that they want to very well, make very few mistakes, then they will win games. I think at the moment they're probably not making the right decisions, giving the ball away too easily.
Melbourne Victory now, if they can grab a third, basically out of sight. The Mariners are going to find that very difficult to claw back. Despite having goal scorers in their team, and they've found some goal-scoring form in recent weeks. 5 against Newcastle a fortnight ago. Here may be the opportunity to make it 3 for Victory. They're going to get a corner.
Well, they're not going to make it easy, are they? One of the best defensive records, best defensive units. I think they've done really well today defensively. They've always looked very in control and have made it really difficult for the Mariners to break them down.
So Chidiak, who played a huge role in that second goal in stoppage time. Swinging this in dangerously off the crossbar. Well, that could have been 3-0. It could have been an Olympico from the corner. That was very fortuitous for the Central Coast. The wind really swinging it in dangerously.
Yep, nice and high. That flight of the ball, hard to read. It just glided onto the crossbar. Lots of bodies in there as well. That really would have been disastrous for the Mariners to have conceded so early into the second half. They conceded early in the first half.
Langman, big pressure on her, and Gilnick just missed a touch. And had she stopped that ball dead, it could have been a wonderful chance for Victory again to push this out to a 3-goal margin. Sarah Rowe dropping it to Nash, and now Ray. Martin. I think also important to mention just how much it may have just thrown the Mariners. I know we just see this corner.
Just glided onto the crossbar, didn't it? That wind really playing havoc.
Just wonder how much it potentially throws the Mariners when you lose Bianca Galic. We know, international player. She's made a debut for Croatia. Everyone expecting her to play, the captain. And then she picks up a knock at training and misses this one. Big loss in midfield because she would have been a lock in the starting side. And now Rowe gives possession. Flannery and just went to place it, and it was just too simple in the end for Langman.
Yeah, she was just trying to get the ball out of her feet. Another mistake here. Rachel Lowe, lovely little ball there. Probably could have taken a bigger touch with that right foot. Just get it out of her feet a little bit more. It was a bit cramped up. Couldn't quite get enough on it. Just stabbed at it. Made it a really nice height for Langman.
And we're hoping that knock doesn't keep Bianca Galic out of international duty. She was going to be heading over to play for Croatia in those Nations League matches against Czechia and Ukraine. So we'll wait and see what the prognosis is. Rasmussen almost played in there. Morrison has to get herself out of a sticky situation and did expertly well, the Melbourne Victory captain.
Yeah, until you point about Bianca Galic not being in the starting 11. This ball just misjudged by Bunge. Kaylee Morrison, cool as you like. Don't worry, I got this, Courtney. I'll take it on. And just clearing it out. But yeah, of course, it does make a difference. Your captain, your creative player, someone who's a work engine in midfield. It always means a little bit of adjusting, even though the depth of the squad is good with the Mariners. But Galic has just been exceptional for them as a leader this season.
Shay Evans there looking to put it on a platter for Annalise Rasmussen. And here's Rowe versus Flannery again. He's up for the battle here, the Irish international. She's multi-talented. We saw the gymnastics skills on show in the Ninja A-League a few weeks ago. This is just going to be a goal kick, but she's also played Gaelic football and played AFLW for Collingwood. It's been a regular for them and did spend a little bit of time at Victory. She played 3 matches in January 2023. Didn't play last season in the A-League Women's and then back with the Mariners this season.
Yeah. There's not too many other countries in the world, are there, Ben, where you can actually play multiple professional sports across football, A-League Women's. Elise Perry did it for a little while as a cricketer and a footballer.
And it's such a challenge, and it's becoming more of a challenge, which is a good thing, isn't it? Because it means that each of the sports are becoming more and more professional, and it's so difficult to make it work across multiple sports.
Yeah, I don't think you want to make it work across multiple sports. I think that's when you know that you've got a fully professional league where you're paying the players well, you've got enough matches, you've got the fantastic high-performance training environment day in, day out, that they don't need to go and play other codes. Sheridan Gallagher, another example with the NRL women. You know, fantastic for the time being, but we want to get to fully professional where they specialise in one sport only.
Yep, 100%. Rachel Lowe taking on Ray, and well, there's another example. There's a number of, well, there's obviously a number of talented players across multiple sports. Rachel Lowe had to make the decision between cricket and football. Annabelle Martin had to make that same decision as well. She was actually going to be picked up by the Melbourne Renegades, I think, in the first season of the WBBL as their backup wicketkeeper, and she said, no, I'm going to follow my football dream. So it's a really, really tough decision for players to try and work out which path to take.
Yeah, that's it. And there's a number of contributing factors there. You know, love of the game, first and foremost, whether they can make it work financially, economically.
Morrison's pass was under pressure there. Murphy, Quilligan coming in. Good energy there from the Mariners midfielder. That's the other thing Alana Murphy's got to deal with. A bit more of a target on her back now that she's been selected in the Matildas squad.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great experience for her, just to understand the difference between what you experience as far as intensity and quality is in the A-League Women in a daily training environment and in match play, and then making that step up into a Matildas squad where incredibly competitive for spots. You've got the likes of the Ellie Carpenters, who drives players on, is always very vocal in training, and that can be quite intimidating for young new players into that environment. But, you know, wonderful experience.
Another turnover at the back by the Mariners. Gilnick eventually got the pass to Lowe, but it's Quilligan who came through and swooped in, winning possession back for the Mariners, but only momentarily because Chidiac is back on the ball. Now, while I get a moment, I've got to mention this great stat, which I had to double check with Andrew Howe, because I got him to do some research for me. Sometimes it's difficult to go back through all the archives. But I wanted to check whether the Mariners had never won an A-League women's match in Melbourne, in normal time, of course. They won the penalty shootout, but it goes down as a draw. And that is correct. They have never won an A-League women's match in Melbourne in club history. So even in their first instalment in 2008, 2009, over those couple of seasons, they never won a game in Victoria. Incredibly, they've won all 3 in South Australia and all 3 in Western Australia, but they're yet to crack Victoria. And it's going to be a tough task, this one.
It certainly is. But also, I think this is also the home ground advantage for the Melbourne Victory as well. I think off the back of playing away in Wellington, it's difficult to travel those distances. I mean, Wellington have to do it more often. Same with the likes of Perth, Adelaide. But it's nice coming back, especially after a performance when you've been a bit disappointed, to be on your home turf, be in familiar surroundings, not have to do too much travel, understand what your match day preparation is as well, and just feel a lot fresher.
Apollonia, Morrison, and Chidiac. Here's Rosie Curtis. And Rachel Lowe. Rachel Lowe's added some goals to her season. 2 goals in her last 5, some important ones as well. Jade Pennock dropping in, had one back the ball. Turned over to Pickett. Here comes a pile driver from an angle, and it's hit the stanchion, and it is shaking because that was hit with some serious venom by Emily Gilnick.
Yeah, she connected so well with that. Love just hearing Jeff Hopkins on the sideline. A much better strike. Head over the ball, just hitting through it. Just didn't quite get it on target. It's back to Jeff Hopkins on the sideline. As soon as, even when Victory are in comfortable possession, his instructions are make sure your defensive shape is right now. And I think that's crucial, and what they've done so well today is always maintain that discipline in their defensive shape, no matter if they're going forward or when the opposition have the ball.
Chidiac and Lowe. I'm just wondering if Emily Gilnick does score, do we go hard on the hat-trick? Because it is still Chidiac's goal at the moment, but for all intents and purposes, if you watch the replay, you will see Gilnick gets a touch. She'll no doubt want to take the match ball home with her.
I was going to say, you'll definitely know from M. Gilnick if she scored. I think the reaction from the players, I think they went over to M. Gilnick. The reaction from her looked like she must have got that little touch skimmed off her thigh. It was quite busy in the box, so lots of bodies and tough to really make it out. But I think she'll be trying to claim that one off Chids.
We highlighted this duel earlier in the game. Sarah Rowe leading the duels 2-1. Mariners maybe with a chance building here. Evans was just thwarted by Bunge. So she scored a hat-trick, Gilnick, back in November against Western United. Most goals for a game, most goals in a game by a Victory player is only the hat-trick scored by 9 different players. Or 9 times it's happened. And Emily Gilnick's achieved that a couple of times for Victory. Melina Ayres as well, Tash Dowie, Caitlin Friend.
Tess Quilligan just struggling in midfield a little bit.
So here come the changes. Gomez making her return from injury, which is wonderful to see. And you can see that right knee strapped, suffered back in December, just before she was selected in that, or just after she was selected in that Matilda squad. Fuller comes on as well, Seaman off. Now this has been a regular change. Seaman coming off around the hour mark and Krajula going on, so you would likely see, well, you have already seen it happen, Taylor Ray drop back into the centre back role and Krajula into Taylor Ray's position in midfield, and Fuller immediately on the ball. So what can the 16-year-old achieve here in this half an hour on the pitch?
Yep, bold from Emily Husband. 3 changes at once, really trying to get fresh legs into this Mariners team. Hasn't been too much change from the first half to the second half.
So Gomez, her first appearance since the 23rd of November, suffered that injury against Melbourne Victory in that 1-1 draw in Unite round. Fantastic to see her back on the park because she's had such a wonderful start to the campaign. A couple of goals as well.
And even with those 3 changes, we can see Jade Panic will push on a little bit further. I feel like she was a bit lost in that first half. I understand Annalise Rasmussen was that target player, but with the amount of defending and compact defending in central areas, Jade Panic just wasn't getting on the ball enough. It was far too crowded. They couldn't find her. It'd be good to see how this tries to change the momentum with her as a bit of more of a target player, which is where we usually see her.
Brooke Nunn, little touch around, and oh, this looks a little concerning. It was a grab of the knee. Play goes on here for Melbourne Victory. You can hear there are some cries for play to be stopped. We'll see Alana Murphy. Yeah, and this is Chidiac, so this is quite concerning because it's just the way that she goes to ground and she doesn't get back up, and she's not a player that is going to stay down like this just to win a free kick.
Yeah, I thought she was maybe holding her, yeah, just caught her, whether she got a knee in the backside as well from Brooke Nunn. It looked awkward, didn't it? Spun her around.
So it gives both sides just a chance to regroup a little bit and work out how they're going to attack this final half an hour. Annabelle Martin is the leading voice there, the captain for the Central Coast.
Yep, some things they need to change. See, she's just catching that left leg. Brooke Nunn, her knee, whether it was like at the top of her calf, the back of her calf, back of her knee there.
Just got caught in the ground, didn't it?
Caught in the ground, yeah, going at pace. You saw one.
So Holly Furphy is getting ready. And everyone holds their breath. We know how crucial Alex Chidiac is to this Melbourne Victory side. 2-time Ninja A-League champion with Melbourne Victory. I should say 1 with Melbourne Victory, and that was back in 2022. 1 with Melbourne City back in 2016 in that 4-1 win against Sydney FC. And here's the goal. Here's the debate. Chidiac or Gilnick.
I just think, see that little touch? Yeah, a little touch on her toe, actually.
We're giving it to Gilnick.
And look, players jumped on her. Definitely think that's an M. Gilnick goal. She just flicked it around the corner, didn't she? Chids did really well just helping that ball back into the danger zone.
All right, well we're calling it then. Gilnick's 9 goals in the Golden Boot race, so she goes clear of Carly Johnson, who's got 8. I don't know how you can watch that and decide otherher's. I think it's pretty
definitely.
clear-cut,
I think
isn't it?
also the reaction of the players. I think the reaction of the players is, you know, and Gilnick putting her arms up. I think Chids also acknowledged that as well. So she will be able to take the match ball home if she gets the 3rd one, Ben.
Just counting hat tricks for Gilnick in the Ninja A-League. I've got 4. As this delivery dangerous towards Pennock. It's a pretty impressive record. 4 hat-tricks. So for Melbourne Victory now, she's got 21 goals. Tash Dowie leading the way. There was a slip. That was the crucial moment there. Just a little slip from Newbon, and fortunately for her, didn't cost Melbourne Victory.
Well, it's difficult with that. The angle of the sun as well. Yeah, Courtney Newbon. As it's getting a little bit later in the day, you see the shadow coming across the pitch.
Yeah, but just to round it on Gilnick, so 4 hat-tricks in her A-League women's career and 21 goals for her victory section of her career, which is only behind Dowie with 33 and Melina Ayres with 28. So she could well finish her career as the leading goal scorer for Victory if she keeps going at this kind of rate. Stays at the club. She's signed until the end of this season.
It's also just really nice to see Em enjoying her football again. It's a few tough seasons there with the injury and then deselection, not making the World Cup squad. The Matildas falling out of favour. You know, that all really takes its toll, and I think she's been reinvigorated. And Jeff Hopkins, familiar with her from their time at Brisbane Roar. Both spent time in Queensland. Em from up in Brisbane as well, have played with her. And you can see that. You can see she's enjoying her football, and I think that's where the goals come from as well.
And she really touched on, hasn't she, how difficult that period was, the World Cup. And I know she was working on it, so she was involved in the space, but I almost think that would have made it even more difficult.
Yeah,
because you're that close to the action, you're literally walking around the pitch going, geez, I wish I was out there. As Pennock putting Morrison under some serious pressure. Fuller, the 16-year-old, has so close. Has gone so close to getting the Mariners back within a goal. Well, things are starting to happen for Fuller.
Good pressure by Pennock, dragging Kayla Morrison out. First time from Fuller as well. Just saw Courtney Newbon out of position. Maybe, probably would have had it covered. Great to see her take that one-touch opportunity to try and get a strike on target.
Tiana Fuller spoke about her dad, Jason, this week and how he really fostered a love for football. Played such a crucial role in her development and no doubt moving forward as well.
Great to see players of her age get that opportunity at the top level.
She's got the record for youngest player for the Mariners in the A-League Women's and youngest goal scorer as well for the Central Coast, scoring on debut against Canberra back in November. 2 in her first 2 and then got 2 and 2 again against Newcastle and Wellington in January. Gomez just gets tossed aside there by Gilnick, and Caitlin Williams, well, she had no option there.
Yeah, it's been a reasonably physical afternoon, hasn't it? A few bear hugs here and there. Bit of shirt pulling, arms up. Bit of frustration.
Gomez. And Taylor Ray. Martin looking forward, had none in a little pocket of space, decided instead just to lump it forward, and that was easy pickings for Morrison. Well won back by Gomez. Now none, couldn't keep the strike down.
Yeah, it's kind of been the story of the day, isn't it? Just that little bit, that lack of quality. That final pass, that final effort, that shot on target. Again, just leaning back. You could have taken a touch. Get that ball out of your feet so it's in a better position.
Do you feel like there could be a bit of a sting in the tail, though, from the Mariners? We saw against Western Sydney, Melbourne Victory, they gave up that late lead. What was it, 4-2 they led, and it was a 4-all draw back at the start of January, the first game for them of the new year. So we have seen evidence of them just going a little sleepy towards the back end of matches where they might think they've wrapped it up.
Yeah, definitely think it would have been part of the discussion from that team meeting as well, how they concede goals, when they concede goals. Nothing more frustrating than conceding them late, just from switching off and not maintaining concentration.
Great to see Chidiac running freely after that injury scare a few moments ago. Brajula. And that's a poor ball that's going to invite victory. It only takes one moment, doesn't it? When you're down by 2 goals, get it back to 2-1, all of a sudden you've got all the momentum, and that's why it's such a dangerous scoreline. But the Mariners have just got to find that goal. I feel they should have had it in the first half. Wasn't forthcoming from the penalty shouts, but this is a promising attack building up here for Rowe's delivery. Aiming for the penalty spot, but it's Alana Murphy who dropped back, angled the clearance away. Quilligan, bumped from behind by Flannery. Play allowed to go on here for Pennock. Good footwork, Jade Pennock, and that's just great body positioning from Kayla Morrison.
Yeah, Kayla Morrison's been outstanding today. She's such a consistent player, leader at the back. Reads the game so well, and Jade Pennock just a bit more frustration there.
Well, Laura Pickett, you'd say she's done her job today. The 21-year-old, 12th appearance for her this season, 8th start. Gave the Mariners no change down that right-hand side. So Alana Janchevsky coming back. Janchevsky, who scored 4 times this season, including that stunning free kick against the Sky Blues back in January. I wouldn't mind another one of those here to see off the Central Coast. And this is a free kick in a good area for the Central Coast. Gomez has been good since she's come back onto the ground. You could say that holding midfield role that Murphy has picked up the spot in the side. She was an option for the Matildas back in November.
Yeah, there's also a lot of space that started to open up, and as we were talking about before, Ben, about that staying switched on, keeping in defensive shape, staying nice and compact. There's been a few transition moments where Central Coast, Jade Pennock looking to get in 1v1s, but this is good shooting range for Taylor Ray here. Whether she's just trying to dink it to that far post to those 2 players around there, or have a go herself. Got the arm up.
4 years since her last A-League women's goal. She's not going direct though. It's one from the training ground, and it very nearly came off for Pennock. Well saved at the near post by Courtney Newbon.
That was a great save by Courtney Newbon. I mean, you knew what was going to happen. It was definitely always going to go that way, whether it was going to go over the top. Decided to keep it on the ground. A nice little checked off run from Jade Pennock there. And a great save from Courtney Newbon. It was alert to the danger.
Chidiac, great foot speed, wins the free kick. Simple decision in the end. And Chidiac's asking why there's no yellow card here for Quilligan, which I think is a fair argument.
Well, I think the consistency of the referee, there could have been other yellow cards, so if she's maintaining that consistency, then we haven't seen Quilligan commit too many fouls.
Now the space opens up down the right for Gilnick to knock it into the path of Flannery. Spills out for Chidiac. Just got caught under a boot, and now Gomez stretches the legs. Oh, the Mariners, they'll just feel that they've been a little unlucky today because they have had some good chances. And the argument could be that you make your own luck, but they also have been good at times in this match. And Morrison, I should say Murphy, going down Free kick goes Victory's way.
Yeah, I definitely think there'll be some frustration. Opportunities gone begging, that early one, Jade Panic in the first half. A couple of nudges in the back from a corner. Could have potentially been called for a penalty.
Nice footwork from Rosie Curtis. Flashes the delivery. Just glance maybe off the hair of Rachel Lowe. Janchevsky. And Lowe. Chidiac. So substitution coming. And it is Holly Furphy who's coming on for Nikki Flannery. Like for like switch. Furphy scored on debut for Victory back in January against Sydney, and that secured that 2-0 win. Nikki Flannery has been good today. You'd say solid without being spectacular. She was decent early on and sort of faded as the match wore on.
There's been some good battles out there as well. Sarah Lowe, that physicality. We've seen it time and time again.
Well, that's what Furphy's going to get now, the Sarah Rowe treatment. And there she is, Rowe, just nipping at the heels there of Chidiac, not giving her a moment's peace.
Yep, stays nice and tight. Likes to make that physical contact. Try and get in front whenever possible.
Won the ball back for the Mariners, but Pennant couldn't catch up with it. Morrison firing that pass at Bunge. Almost invited Fuller to come and pinch it. Good bit of pressure here from the Mariners, forcing Victory back. Newbon just has to knock it straight down the middle. So big tick there for the Mariners. Martin searching for Fuller. So if you're husband, Ish, what's your avenue, your best avenue to goal you're looking at the moment?
It's a tough one at the moment, Ben. There's not too much time left. I definitely think there's space opening up. So whether the players, when they do win the ball in midfield, again, depends whether they're trying to get that ball out wide. I personally would be looking for balls in behind for Jade Panic to run onto. But then saying that, I think the Victory defensive line has been outstanding this afternoon.
So Tess Quilligan leaves and Peter Trimmis enters the home of the Matildas. Trimmis, who scored against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, her first of the season, the former young Matilda who was part of that World Cup side in Colombia last year. This result as it stands is music to the ears of the teams chasing the top six in the Ninja A-League. The likes of Canberra and Wellington. I'd say Western Sydney Wanderers down. It's going to be a really difficult assignment. They're going to need a miracle from there. But Wellington and Canberra, Wellington coming up later tonight. They are taking on Perth Glory in the distance derby. That is a very, very challenging road trip. And Perth Glory, well, they win that one. They probably give themselves some kind of hope because they would then play 16 matches and up to 15 points. So that's must win for Perth. Almost similar kind of requirement for Wellington.
This has kind of been the story of the match, isn't it? Little holding arms, holding shoulders, they're hugging people. The referee's been very relaxed, has let a lot go. No yellow cards so far.
Even the crowd's getting frustrated I remember a bunch of fans at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle at Jets games. They would actually bring a big piece of fluoro yellow cardboard, and if they thought the challenge was a yellow card, they'd all raise it, so you'd see 4 yellow cards.
Trying to give the referee a hint. You know what, my approach to it, I must admit, is, you know, when you go and play park football and you don't have a referee and you kind of self-referee the game. So if the decisions are going the same way for both teams, you don't mind it as much. It's only when you feel that there's some unfairness to it. And look, I think Central Coast maybe have a couple of arguments of some decisions that could have gone their way in the penalty box, but on the whole, it's been give and take from both teams. And I think Caitlin Williams has done a good job of just letting the game flow as well.
There's nothing worse than a match that's stop-start because there's a free kick every minute or two. This game has been an entertaining watch. We've had some good moments, but at the moment, Victory have just got the fire blanket on the Mariners. They are just not able to create any chances at the moment.
Yeah, Victory just happy maintaining possession, slowing the tempo down, controlling the tempo. There's really no need for them to commit players forward at this point in the game. They got 10 minutes left, 2-0 up. Jeff Hopkins is continuing to yell at his players, make sure you remember your defensive duties, stay compact, tuck in. You know, that's his priority.
Low. Linking with Chidiac after some industry down the left by Janchevsky. But again, the Mariners, they have the answers there defensively. And you look at the 2 goals they've conceded, a goal mouth scramble, you could say, with a heavy deflection and that Kilnick chance. It's really tight margins. And that's what you said off the top, Ish, is that this match is going to be defined by tight margins. And in the end, Victory have had a couple go their way and the Mariners haven't. And that's where we sit at the moment. Mariners have got to be good enough to fight their way back into the contest as Fuller's delivery just dropping in front of Pennock, so it was easy for Morrison.
And apart from those maybe calls that could have gone their way, they have had a couple of chances as well where they could have taken it into their own hands, just haven't had the quality of the finish, and they're the things that frustrate you the most. You know, sometimes the refereeing decisions are out of your control.
Martin, shape on the delivery. Trimis was powering through the box. And then Rowe in that 50-50 duel wins out for the Mariners, and well, that's the kind of frustration that has been on show for the Mariners deep into this second half.
Yeah, it's been a little bit like that, hasn't it? Like, not as slick, not as the quality not quite being there. Maybe the ball's just gone in behind players. Their first touch not quite as good as it should be. It's all kind of those little things keep adding up, make for a really frustrating afternoon for the Mariners.
Could Peter Trimis make something happen? The 18-year-old, second season in the A-League Women's after debuting for the Mariners on their return to this competition back in October 2023. Trimis versus Furphy. Always tough, though, to win the ball in a scrounge with Dapolonia, who earned it back for Victory. And now silky footwork from the fluoro orange boots of Janchevsky, and it just opens up the right-hand side for Victory. And then Curtis's pass just through a tired M. Gilnick. Nash measured it to Pennock, but the touch was too heavy. So Victory, well, they want the ball taken to the corner already. 6.5 to go, plus stoppage time, and the message is, M, take the ball to the corner. We want to chew out these final minutes. Trimis coming through. Newbon had to be out quickly. And now it's Furphy going in the opposite direction here for Melbourne Victory. Links with Chidiac, has got Gilnick out to the right, but she dropped it back for Dapolonia, and well, the Mariners able to compress and close up the space. There was a really good opportunity initially for Gilnick.
Yeah, they're in no hurry to go forward, though, are they, the Victory? Quite happy to come back out, keep the ball moving, keep possession, just slow the tempo down again. Kind of forcing the Mariners to do something. What are you going to do? Especially they're dropping back here. Comfortable in possession. As I say, that absolute stitch up. Courtney Newborn gave the ball away.
And that's that kind of slickness we touched on before. Pennock just can't find Trimmis, who is in a good pocket of space.
Yeah, just those 1%ers that need to improve to really make the difference for the Mariners. But again, I think credit to Victory. I think they've looked in control this game. I think they've controlled possession well.
Furphy, early delivery. Gilnick looking for a hat-trick. Maybe Rachel Lowe can get on the score sheet. Mariners clear it away just in the nick of time.
A lovely ball into the box there, just bending it around behind. Such a difficult one to defend. Annabelle Martin trying to get a touch on it. The relief that Taylor Ray was there to clear that ball away.
So O'Grady coming on for her 12th appearance of the season, 11 of those off the bench. The one goal for her back in November against Western United. Gilnick, Tapoloni, now Chidiac. Murphy. Will her next match be in the green and gold of Australia, Alana Murphy? We can only hope so. Hopefully she gets an opportunity on the pitch in the She Believes Cup, but competitive tournament, competing for spots, it will be a challenge.
Yeah, massive tournament. Massive tournament for results for the Matildas as well. Still Tom Samani, the interim coach, still on the hunt for the permanent coach of the Matildas, leading into the Asian Cup in early 2026. Clock is ticking.
Nice dink over the top for Pennock, and now it's Trimmis delivering too far in front of Fuller. You've really got to credit Melbourne Victory for their response off the back of that Wellington disappointment last week. And yes, it was a draw, but the way they spoke about their team meeting at the start of this week, it was like it was a defeat, the way that they came out of that game. And they showed up right from the outset today. The intent was there, the energy was there.
It's also nice when some of those performance blips mean that you still get a point rather than not getting any points, and actually losing the game might feel like a loss, but you've still accumulated a point. Really had a good hard look at yourself. Try and improve into the next week, which they definitely have done. It's a lot more cohesive this week.
So it would end the Mariners' undefeated run on 5 matches. They would have equaled a club record 6-match undefeated run from 2009 had they snagged a win or a draw here. Victory will go to 6 matches without defeat, provided they get to the finishing line here. They've had 4 wins. That'd be 4 wins and 2 draws from their last 6, and just 1 loss in their last 14 matches. And that was against Brisbane back in January. So Janchevsky conceding a late corner. So the Mariners here, can they pull back a goal and give Victory a really nervy finish?
That sun in Courtney Newburn's eyes might be in the Mariners' favour. See your players putting their hands over that angle of the sun, horrible angle.
Ray with the low delivery. Pennock was barreling in there towards the near post, and She gets that on target. It would have been hard to stop.
Yeah, probably just the story of the game, I think, for Jade Panic. Just a couple of those little quality, that final product. I think she'll probably look back on this game, had a couple of half chances, one very good chance early on in the first half. Probably just lacking that little bit of quality. It was a great ball in by Taylor Ray, drove that in nice and solid into the box, across that 6-yard box. But really want to be getting those on target, especially this late in the game.
Chidiac versus Rowe, down to the corner. That was the instruction from Jeff Hopkins about 5 minutes ago, and Chidiac is heeding that message.
Yep, they'll be happy just to continue winding down the clock, not taking any chances.
Well, the pressure from Victory brought a poor pass, and Murphy, who we've seen score from distance already this season, scored the winner against Perth Glory back in December. Tried a luck there. 4 minutes of additional time. Still time if the Mariners are good enough. Trimmis around a tiring Murphy. Gets it onto the left boot, Trimmis, and oh, it did bounce up awkwardly. Almost up into the chin there of Newbon. Through that very wet turf.
Oof, yeah, just an awkward bounce. See a fair bit of sand on both 6-yard areas on either side, trying to absorb some of the wet and the water that's been dumped on the pitch over the last few days.
So a lot of heavy rain since Friday, 15 mils overnight. Annabelle Martin just limping a little, trying to run that out, the captain. What's going on with the Mariners? You wear the captain's armband, it's somewhat of a curse. So they're down to number 3. Taryn King's on her way back from that ACL injury, so she'll be back in action very soon, hopefully. And Bianca Galich injured at training in the last session before this game. Annabelle Martin hopefully will run that one out.
Yeah, my husband will be trying to assign a captain. Everyone will be like, no, not me, thanks. No, I'm okay, thank you. Give it to someone else. It's tough these last few minutes. There's really not too much husband can do. It's really up to the players out on the pitch to try and change the momentum of this game.
Well, is there a final one for the road here for Melbourne Victory to celebrate in style? O'Grady, Chidiac, and Gilnick. Dropping it back for Murphy. May shape up another shot, decides this time to find the pass. And Furphy finds Chidiac. I believe it's been about 30 minutes since Victory last had a shot on goal. So they do not want to give the Mariners any kind of sniff. They just want to kill this match off. Furphy in a real scrap there. They don't mind Melbourne Victory one bit. They are within 90 seconds of an important win here, which would take them up to second. Remembering last season, they didn't finish in the top 2. And if you don't finish in the top 2, well, it opens the door to being eliminated in the first week of the finals. And they had that home finals match last year against the Mariners. They go out by the penalty shootout. It is so important in this final system to finish in the top 2. You get that week off, get to rest your heels, and you're just 2 legs away from a grand final.
Yeah, there's some teams that prefer not to have that break though as well, Ben. When you keep that consistency of play and if you're in the rhythm of the game as well, then sometimes it can kind of stifle that. Obviously helps with injuries and the like.
Furphy shooting, and a decent save from Langman considering the wet turf in front of her. And it bobbled straight out of the rough there.
Yeah, right in the face, I think that hit Sarah Langman.
It's like a treacherous cricket pitch, isn't it?
Yeah,
the ball can go anywhere.
Skids off, bounces off here, there and everywhere. And they'll be taking as much time as possible for this corner, the Melbourne Victory.
Look at that, the Kiwis on tour. They're enjoying watching Claudia Bunge. Gio Candy on the bench for Melbourne Victory has been selected for the Football Ferns squad as well. Playing against Costa Rica in that international break coming up. It's been a big week for those fans. The Kiwis on tour. Wellington on Friday. Then Tarneet clash with Western. Auckland had yesterday. And then here at the home of the Matildas to watch a couple of New Zealand internationals. Murphy and Jade Pennock. Is there a final consolation here for the Mariners? And it's well blocked off. Martin has a strike. And it's Melbourne Victory with that defensive resolve, which consolidates second place on the ladder. A 2-0 win against the Central Coast Mariners, who were defeated for the first time in 5 matches. This Victory side moving through the gears this season. That is a really crucial win. They have now won 4 in this 6-match undefeated run. And a 2-0 win against the Central Coast Mariners. Full time at the home of the Matildas. Victory 2, Mariners 0. And let's take a look now at the full-time highlights. And each the Central Coast Mariners looking back on this moment, they will rue it within the opening minutes.
Yeah, would have really changed the momentum for the Mariners early on. Delightful little dink from Brooke Nunn into Jade Pennock. Just couldn't open her body up, was trying to open it up. Then kind of hit it into the near post away from Courtney Newbond. But that was a huge opportunity. But Alana Murphy here, wonderful vision, took a couple of touches, saw Em Gilnick on the shoulder, in behind the Mariners' defence. Em, little look up at the goalkeeper, slots it home, wonderful finish.
And in those kind of moments, Emily Gilnick, that is what she has become known with in this competition. And that's why, well, she's had those kind of responsibilities bestowed on her to take the penalties, and that time she blazed over.